I won't cap to y'all. Kenshin Part 1, not completely sold on it. Just gonna let you know right now. However, Part 2 units, not gonna lie, looking a little enticing. Let's talk about Saito Hajime first. Saito is a dark human. His entire gimmick is that with his passive enabled, every time a new battle starts, so that means every stage transition, he's going to increase the amount of arts he gets on his skill by 100. He's getting double super art damage multiplier and break power on the super art specifically. And then everything else about his kit is giving you ways to just buff up your damage by a crazy amount. The art is the only thing that's like maybe not a buff in some sense, but it does increase his own stats by 40%. Everyone else gets 20% buff. The true art's gonna be giving that art gauge, plus you're also reducing the enemy's physical res by 100%. And then the super art is going to be giving you that massive damage, of course, that we just talked about, which doubling this super art multiplier means that this is gonna be a 460,000 hit. You get 100% accuracy during the duration of the super art, and you reduce the enemy's damage res by 75%. If you're not inflicted by a status element, you reduce the enemy's damage res by 150%. Note too, he does have the damage passive that scales based on attack and defense this time, and not just attack. This is a lot to take in. This character seems really potent at a few things. Nuking, right? Instantly load into a quest, 460k multiplier on someone's dome, instantly dead, right? Not to mention, this guy is going to be so nasty in raid nuke comps. The instant 150% damage res, you stack this with Demon Lord Rimmeru's. Well, ladies and gentlemen, are we serious right now? That is a total of 220% DR down just through 2 units. We're not even factoring in if you have like an equip that can do it if it meets like a certain condition or whatever. That's gonna make any unit hit ridiculously hard. Also, this character and Shadow are gonna get along really well. The only thing is that the super art multiplier is definitely crazy and everything's wild with it. And I definitely feel like he's made for more nuking content than like long form content, but I don't think his sustained like viability is going to be too bad. He still has the 20% stats up on the art. You have the art gauge that you're able to give to the whole team, plus you're reducing the enemy's physical res by 100%. You could also utilize this unit with Samurai Rimuru that just came out with Shadow's team, and then maybe throw like Natasha or someone else on there. Then there you go. You have quite a fearsome team comp just off of that. This guy definitely is going to be hitting really hard. He's going to be a crazy nuker when he comes out, and we're going to be seeing some goofy damage numbers with this one, especially once you consider that his true weapon is True Owen, but now for dark units. Next is going to be Makoto, and Makoto, a lot of people have been saying that they don't really like him. A lot of people saying that they don't really know how they're going to use him, but I'm not really too against him, and I'll tell you why. He's going to be a fire human, and if we look at the kit here, he's all about burning, reducing the enemy's DR, and being able to buff up his fire allies damage by 200%. And wait, hold on just a second. Is that a passive fire art gauge buff for his team? Ladies and gentlemen, we finally have the mono fire Demon Lord Vox. He also was able to buff up his own damage by 300% based on how low his own HP gets. I'm curious to see like how low your HP actually needs to be to get like the full effect. I'm assuming once you get at like red health, that's whenever you will have 300% damage, but if you literally have to be on 1 HP to get it, that kind of sucks. Another thing is that when own self is burning, you increase your own damage by 150% as well. And you may be like, wait, burn? Yeah, if you're below 50% HP, he burns himself with his super art. Granted, there's other ways to burn yourself once you are above 50%, but we'll talk about that in just a second. The reason why I'm not too against this guy, and some people are looking at this kit and they're like, oh my god, this guy seems terrible, because you get the DR bonus when enemies are inflicted with the status element. Well, let's say for an example, instantly, everybody's thinking about burn. We see burn res and stuff like that. I'm thinking Shizu, since she just came out, along with this guy's skill, we're going to be able to reduce burn res by quite a bit. We're actually going to be able to get probably around 100% burn res down on an enemy through equips. So it's going to be very easy to inflict a burn onto an enemy. However, I think there's a better way to even go about this when it comes to using this character, and that's actually using bleed. If I'm not mistaken, bleed does count as a status effect. And with that being said, you could use a bleed equip on one of his slots and activate that to be able to get the 30% DR down against enemies with status elements. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to cut out so much of this video because I was wondering if there was a way that I could like fact check this and like actually see if bleed does count as a status effect or if it's own unique thing. Because I was 50-50 on it. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a status effect, but at the same time, I think it's like its own unique debuff. And yeah, I was right. If you see here, this is the tag search in game, and if we go to inflicting status elements, we can see where's bleed. Bleed is not here. So yeah, we're gonna have to rely on burn, which means the next like 2 to 3 minutes of this video talking about, oh, like you could use this guy with Velzard and go crazy with Velzard and him. And it's completely obsolete now. So I'm just going to fast forward what I thought was big brain. Just get to the part where we're talking about stuff the unit can actually do, because GS doesn't like fun. With the True Art, he's consuming his own HP to reduce the enemy's DR by 150%. This is the same thing as Saito. Like, Saito just stated this exact same text pretty much in his Super Art, right? Not entirely, but, you know, it was a variation of this. This is also insane, and it makes this man, Makoto, insanely good in raid nukes, or just nuking in general. Just being able to throw him on a team, pop his True Art, get 150% DR down on an enemy, and if his animation is relatively fast, well, congratulations, he can be used with majority of nukers in the game, and his slots aren't too bad for nuking specifically. So if I'm going to be 100% honest, with what we just talked about, I'm not against this man Makoto at all. I think he has potential to be insanely good. And if bleed does count as a status effect and it's not its own unique thing, which a part of me does think that it does count as its own unique instance of whatever you want to call it, then that kind of sucks. And that kind of takes away from this guy being insanely good, because then we will have to rely on burn, because he's kind of built to, of course, rely on that, which isn't the worst. If you guys did get Shizu, then you have someone that's able to do that. Another thing is that since he does need to be burned, unfortunately his true weapon does not do this. His true weapon just buffs up his own fire damage and also reduces the enemy's physical res, and if it's equipped by him, he gets 30% more damage and 3 arts per second. This will be his best in slot in most situations. If we do need to inflict a burn onto ourselves to get that crazy 150% damage buff, then we can do that by utilizing Relic Vulcans, which does actually burn you and your entire team as soon as you use it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. Makoto and Saito seem insane. I'm thinking that once these guys come out, we are going to see a real big turnaround. Part 2 seems so much better than part 1. Surprisingly, even though part 1 does actually have a arch general with Kenshin, I'm just not 100% sold on him. I don't necessarily like him too much, and I think there's definitely room for improvement in some aspects of his kit. But this part 2, man, seems a lot more applicable. Like, we're seeing some crazy characters. Either way though, fam, you guys tell me down below what you all think about these units. Do you guys like them? Do you guys hate them? Are they just kind of whatever? Let me know all that type of stuff down below in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed this video, highly recommend check out the boy Veldora. You know, hey, he's great. He truly is. I'll meet you over there. And one more thing before you leave, don't forget to drink water.